I came really close to dying once. I got choked out, and I thought that was it for me. Alright guys, so this happened back in 2017. I'm going to leave out names in this to protect myself and to protect other people. And I'm going to leave out some of the details from the later parts of the story, also to protect some other people. It doesn't really matter anyway. It's irrelevant to the story. So anyway, this story begins with me and my former best friend. We at that time had been friends since probably 2011. We worked together and we hung out all the time. We would hang out after work, drink beers, do a lot of things together, work on things together, go to the lake, go mud bogging, go driving down the river. We did a lot together, had some pretty crazy times. Leading up to this though, I had a lot of not just warning signs, just flat out red flags that probably shouldn't have been hanging around this guy anymore. At least I probably shouldn't have been drinking, or he shouldn't have been drinking. We shouldn't have been drinking when we were hanging out, because if we were sober, nothing happened. Nothing ever happened. The minute we started drinking, stupid things happened. And it was always him that started things. He was the kind of person that liked to fight. He liked drama. He liked talking crap to people, just trying to start fights. And I was always the guy who was like, dude, what are you doing? And I got dragged into his drama all the time. And on multiple occasions leading up to this incident, people I knew were like, why do you keep hanging around this guy? And I was like, I don't know, just because I guess he was my only friend. I'm the kind of person growing up who I only had friends for maybe 2 years at the most, and then we would part ways for whatever reasons. I never had long-term friends, so this was like the first time I had a really good friend. Anyway, let's get to the story. He was moving out of his apartment, and he had already moved out. Everything was gone, and he'd been in that apartment since I knew him. So the apartment was empty, and his wife and his kid, they were already in the new house, and he wanted to have one last night at the apartment to celebrate. And I was invited over. Right off the bat, we started drinking in the apartment. I don't know, we probably went and bought a 30-pack, who knows. And just immediately we start drinking, and then we get to feeling good, and he gets the idea to go to this bar that's within walking distance of the apartments. I was like, sure, let's go to the bar. We walk over there. I think it's still daylight. We go to the bar, and he at the time was vaping. And when we're hanging out in this bar, having a good time, drinking beers and whatnot, and he starts just blowing vape smoke in random people's faces. And for a little bit, the people they ignored it, thought maybe it was an accident. And he just kept doing it, and it got to the point where people were like, dude, quit blowing smoke in my face. It was like a whole group of people he was doing it to. So I think they went and got a manager, somebody that worked there. They came to where we were at, and they said he had to leave. And I was like, I'm not blowing smoke in their faces. And he was like, well, you're with him, so you got to go too. That's kind of how it always went with him, just guilty by association. So anyway, we leave the bar and we walk back to his apartment, proceed to drink some more. Now, I can't remember if we were drinking like hard liquor, but we probably were, because that's usually whenever we start doing stupid things. So anyway, yeah, we're both feeling really good, and he starts acting weird. Now, there's no other people around, so it concerned me. I didn't really like to drink around him when it was just me and him. Which I know that sounds crazy, right? He's my best friend. Like, damn, you're scared of this dude? Look, this guy grew up pretty rough. He grew up really rough neighborhood, had it pretty hard. He'd got a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of PTSD, a lot of issues that came out when he was drinking. And I got to hear about all of it. And anyway, he could start acting a little weird, start getting a little too in my face and breathing heavy and stuff. And I was like, dude, you back off me. Like, what the hell? And I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but it just seemed kind of hostile. And I was like, man, I need to go out to my car, man. Just sit there by myself and get away from you for a minute, dude. Like, you're acting weird. So anyway, I proceed to start heading out the door, and he gets in my way. He said, I can't let you do that. I was like, what do you mean you can't let me do that? Why not? I was like, get out of my way. He said, no, man, I know you're going to drive off. Well, I wasn't going to drive off. I was just going to sit out there, probably call my wife, have her come and pick me up. He wouldn't let me leave. And I was like, dude, move, get out of my way. And he still wouldn't let me go. And so I just tried to kind of shove him aside. Well, that didn't work out very good. Now, at the time, I was about 6'2", 195 pounds. He is about 6'1", 230 pounds. Big old boy. Yeah. So he grabbed me and we start wrestling, and he gets me to the floor. I suck at fighting. He grew up fighting all the time. I've heard so many stories about him getting in fights. That just wasn't the way I grew up. So, yeah, I didn't stand a chance. We go to the ground, and he starts choking me. And now this is where, at least as far as reality goes, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I know he had both hands on my throat, and I went out. I was out, unconscious. Everything went dark, and I found myself suddenly hovering over me and him. I was hovering over me and him choking me out. I didn't really have a body, though. It was just more like, I can't even describe it. I didn't have a body, though, but I was floating, and it was total darkness, and it was as if somebody had lifted the roof off the apartments, took out all the walls, and it was just total darkness, and all I could see was me and him. That was it, and everything else was just absolute pitch black like I've never seen. Because whenever you close your eyes, even if you're in a room with no light, you close your eyes, you see the back side of your eyelids, you see that I don't know how to describe it. You just don't see total darkness. It's impossible. It really is impossible. It's kind of like when you rub your eyes and you see all that, the harder you rub your eyes, the more you see that, whatever that is, that it's almost like a light. Well, that, at least with me, in my case, it's always there. It's almost like I'm looking in a sky with just stars everywhere or something. A sky just full of stars, really, really dimly lit stars. I don't know if this is something I see or not. But I've talked to my wife, and she's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We have the concept. We know the concept of absolute dark, of pitch black, but we can't experience it. We can't see it. So anyway, I'm experiencing it, and I'm like, this is like something I've never seen. This isn't from planet Earth. And another thing I was feeling was no pain. Now I've lived a rough life as far as my body goes and my mind. Up until probably I was 38, I wasn't very nice to my body. Had a lot of aches and pains. And so whenever I was hovering over my body, I felt absolutely nothing. It was amazing. It was amazing to feel no pain and no mental anguish either. Also, it was just dead silent. That's another thing. that's really impossible to hear is absolute silence, because once again, even if you're in a room that is where there's no rooms, you got insulated walls, you hear your body, bodily functions, and that drives people crazy. They've done studies on that. You start to hear your bones, the joints, you hear your blood flowing, and that can drive somebody crazy really quickly. So I'm hearing absolutely nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing to feel that and to just be so at peace. Like I felt at peace. I felt just amazing. Nothing could give me that feeling. Nothing could come close. I've done some things in my youth that altered my mind a little bit. Nothing comes close to that, and nothing ever will, and I could say that for 100% certainty. It's just absolute peace, and I was floating, I was hovering above my body, and I was drifting away, just a little bit farther away every second, just watching myself down there getting choked out, getting killed. And it didn't bring me any anxiety. I wasn't worried about what I was witnessing. I just was like, yeah, that's what's happening down there, and fully accepting it and ready for whatever is happening right now in this moment. You can't get that, like, you can't get that in a conscious state. You see yourself getting choked out, you're going to freak out. You're going to start screaming, hollering. No, I just was like, I was at peace. And the farther I got away from my body, the more I think that, how do I say this? In my opinion, because I got to the point to where I could barely see me and him down there. I was way up in the air, way up. I could barely see us, and I think that if I got to the point to where I couldn't see us anymore, I think that would have been it for me. I think that was it. I think at that point you go on to something else. This was a very spiritual experience for me. I know a lot of people will say, oh, there's a release of a lot of chemicals going on there, and maybe that is true, but at the same time, it was definitely a spiritual experience for me. It is kind of weird that most people, when they do have an out-of-body, a near-death experience, their experiences are all very similar. That's very strange. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Most people, they hover over their body, they feel at peace, they might be in darkness, they might be going towards a light. In my case, I was kind of going away from a light. I think me and my buddy down there, I think that was the light I was going away from. And in some cases, people will actually talk to people that have been dead. And I think that was the next step for me. But I don't think there was any going back after that. So anyway, yeah, I'm almost to the point to where I can't see my body, me and him. And just suddenly, I'm back into my body. I'm back. And I find myself on my back, on the ground, and I can't remember exactly what my friend at the time was doing. I think he had gotten up, maybe. I think he was like, well, I did my job. He's dead. And I'm not sure. I guess you would have to ask him, which I don't think he likes talking about this. But all I know is I woke up, he wasn't on top of me anymore. And here's the crazy part of this story. Whenever we got back to the apartment that night after going to the bar, he couldn't find his key to get into the apartment. And he got frustrated, and he's like, well, I'm moving out of this apartment. To hell with it. He just kicks open the door. So the door's just free swinging, it doesn't shut anymore. He completely knocked it off of It completely knocked out the part of the door where it latches. So anyway, I wake up from being choked out. I see that he's not on top of me anymore. I immediately get up and I start running. Well, he starts running after me. The door is open. I didn't even have to turn the knob or anything. I just, boom, straight through the door. Now, if I had to open that door, he would have got me. And I can almost say with absolute certainty, I wouldn't be here today. Yeah, that was, I'm so glad it worked out like that. So I get out the door, I'm taking off running. Now, I don't run, so my legs feel like rubber when I'm trying to run full speed. He's behind me, he's in really bad shape, he's 30 pounds heavier than me. So I get away from him, and we get to a point to where he stops, because he's about to pass out from being out of breath. He's hollering stuff at me, about how he's going to get me and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm sitting there like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Like, why? You tried to kill me just because I wanted to go to my car. What is wrong with you? And, yeah. I think he went and slept on the golf course after that, because I'm sure he was afraid maybe that the police were going to come and arrest him, which I decided not to press charges. And the reason for that is probably because I would have lost my job. My job at the time was really particular about things like that, and they don't want to have somebody employed there that got into an altercation with another employee while they were extremely drunk. And yeah. And I'll end the story right there. I don't want to say any more, but that's all you need to know. That is my near-death experience. Now, I should have quit drinking after that, but I didn't. And I did learn that I drank because I was addicted. I didn't drink because of him, and that's kind of something I always had, that I always told myself was that, I only drink because I'm hanging around this guy who's a bad influence on me. Nah. Well, that definitely wasn't the case. I went on another 4 years, still drinking. Didn't quit till October 31st of 2021, and that was the second best decision of my life. The first best one was marrying the woman I'm with today, my wife. Now, I just have one friend, and we mainly just talk on the phone. We'll see each other every now and then, talk about truck-related stuff. But I like it. I like my circle of friend. Everybody else I know is family, and I can trust them. And life is good now. Used to, I had kind of a large circle of friends, and most of them weren't mentally stable. They weren't emotionally mature people. You couldn't say no to them. They would get upset. They would belittle their wives, little things like that. And I just didn't like to be hanging around people like that. Birds of the feather flock together, right? So life is great now. I love it. I love having little drama in my life. And I've learned I don't need to have a large circle of friends, even though a lot of the self-help stuff you listen to right off the bat, they're like, you gotta have some friends. You gotta go find some friends at church. No, people like me, we don't have to. I found out how to be strong on my own with just me and my wife. I'm out here all the time in the truck by myself. You gotta be mentally strong to do this, to have my own business. And I'm glad that I started my own business, because it really taught me how to do that, how to be fine on my own, as far as not really having any friends I see on a routine basis. All right, for the people who stayed till the end of this video, which I'm sure is a short number of people because our attention spans are shot, well, y'all get a bonus. You see this dog right here? This dog is Solo, and he passed back in 2021. And one of these days I'll tell the story, but I just can't tell right now. I didn't expect this, but that's what I named the channel after. Was after solo, which was when I decided to get serious about quit drinking. It's my wake up call, and he was definitely what I consider something sent from God for me. So, Jesus, I'm a wreck. Wow, I did not expect that. I've told that story before. Man. Okay, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Solo, run around. Come on. Solo. Hey. Solo. Oh no. Can you sit? You gonna sit in the snow? Good boy. Shake.